Welcome to everyone to the Rutgers-Newark Small Business Development Center's webinar. Today's webinar is Digital Marketing DNA, and your presenter is Cheryl McCants, who we'll introduce in just a bit. But for those of you who are here who are unfamiliar with the SBDC, which stands for the Small Business Development Center, we are a resource center for the United States Small Business Administration, and our objective is to provide business consulting to individuals who are either trying to start a new business, or if you're already established, you need help in a specific area to help grow your business. These areas can be, government contracting, it can be digital marketing, it can be exporting, or you need help with accessing capital to help your business expand and grow. Any possible areas that you can think about, we have different consultants with expertise in different areas who are on staff and willing to sit with you for an hour and assist you with finding the solution to any problems you might be facing with growing your business. This service is provided to you at no cost, paid for by your tax dollars. And especially now, given our current circumstances with COVID-19, additional funding has been given. So there are actually going to be even more programs and more counseling sessions being offered. We also offer training and workshops and webinars, such as the one that you're attending today. In terms of the consulting, though, you are allowed to, consulting is done across the state. There are 12 centers in New Jersey. Each center is responsible for one or multiple counties. And for Newark, the center here at Rutgers-Newark, our jurisdiction is Essex County. So for the one-on-one business counseling, you will have to seek out the help of your local SBDC for your county. So if you reside in Newark or in Essex County, you will come to us. However, for the training and the workshops, the webinars, you're free to attend it no matter where in New Jersey you live. Actually, we might even have people out of state on today's webinar. So it's open to anyone. However, the one-on-one, like I said, you have to visit your respective counties, SBDC. A little housekeeping for today's webinar. It is being recorded, so a copy of today's webinar will be sent out along with a copy of the slides. So I know some people usually ask that question. We'll send that out within 24 to 48 hours of this presentation being completed. If you have any questions, feel free to use the chat box. I know Cheryl usually has a team with her and it's interactive, so they may answer questions during, I'm not sure, but she'll make it worthwhile. She'll make it very interactive and fun, and she'll be sure to answer any questions you have. And if you want to follow up for one-on-one, feel free to send us an email or visit our website at www.rnsbdc.com and request counseling. You can get a one-on-one with her for at least an hour, and she can answer some questions you may have or take a look at your marketing, what you're doing, just doing a general assessment for you. So they do take advantage of that. So I'm not taking any more of your time. I'm turning it over to Cheryl.
All right, so thank you, Priscilla. And hello, everyone. My name is Cheryl McCants, and I am super excited that you all are here. I'm going to make one small change. If you have a question, please use the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen if you haven't moved your Zoom bar, or the top where mine is right now. The chat, you can chat. I can tell you, however, that I do have some of my team members on, and we're going to be looking at the Q&A section. to identify questions. This is extremely interactive, so I am going to encourage everyone to participate and to tell us about yourself. So what the first thing that I'd like to do is, I see we've got, folks on, and I can only see your name. So if you can please let me know through your first name, the industry that you're in, and the years of business. And if you could put that in, now I'm going to change what I said. So put that in the chat. And the reason I'm saying that is so that everybody can see who is here and can connect with one another. So I am going to start us off, and I am going to say, Cheryl, marketing, and 31. That's not my age, that's my years in business. So if everybody could please go into the chat bar. I see Yolanda, you have your name, but if you can let me know the industry that you're in and the years of business. And the reason that I'm asking this is it will help me as I go about to modify or customize the business that you're in. And so hooked on books, okay, childcare, 5 years. We've got somebody 20 years, consulting, business coaching, sales and consulting services, a startup, wonderful. And I see, can you let me know, Tosca, how many years in business you have under your belt as well? That'd be helpful. I see you, Denise, with 4 years. So welcome, everybody. Continue to populate. It seems like we have a lot of time, because 90 minutes is a long time to be online. Hopefully this will be worth your hour and a half and that you will enjoy. So I'll come back to the chat, and as we go through this, if you have a question, since you won't be interrupting me because you can't talk, but you can go ahead and use the Q&A area to ask your question, and we'll be able to address them. So this is Digital Marketing DNA. And what we're here to do is to give you sort of a taste of the longer class that is available about utilizing marketing tools, and it's specifically designed for small businesses. A little bit about me. I am the president and CEO of Impact Consulting Enterprises. That's a picture of me when my hair is done and I have full makeup on. So that is me. Someone even said to me once, "Is that really you? It doesn't look like you." I promise that's me. And what I would say is I share my background with you, not to boast, but to help you understand where my team and I are coming from in terms of giving you the information. So we are award-winning. I am an award-winning communication expert. I have a combination of both small business and corporate experience. And at the end of the day, you want to judge your work by the impact of its efforts. And I believe firmly that if you stay focused on the good that you're doing, you certainly, do good for yourself. All right, so again, as I mentioned, this is a prequel, for lack of a better word, for a longer version of a deep dive into developing effective marketing campaigns. And so the longer version of this webinar is on Friday, July 17th. It will be via Zoom as well. It's from 9 to 2, and I wouldn't make you sit for all of those hours. There will be breaks throughout the day. And what the state of New Jersey and the SBDC have done is they have subsidized all of the classes. It's normally $100. However, because of COVID-19 and everybody's understanding of the need to stay sheltered in place, you can subscribe to this full in-depth class. We created a little bit.ly, and so it's bit.ly/DNA July 17th. And I'll ask someone from my team to share that in the chat box. And all you have to do is click on that link to go on ahead and register. So let's get going. What's in your marketing DNA? I'm going to say that there are lots of questions about how do you go on and design or develop a marketing plan. And I'm going to say to you that your marketing DNA really depends on your ability to plan. I believe in strategic planning. I have found that strategic planning is the most effective way to communicate a message. And that is true whether you are communicating a message online, in print, on television, whatever the medium that you're using, you really want to make sure you have a plan. So the first step in planning is to really assess. And what I mean by assess is to evaluate and identify what it is exactly that you are promoting. So some people, like an Oprah Winfrey, are blessed to be able to have her name be her brand. And some would say the Kardashians also have that type of a clout. And so when you are deciding what it is you are promoting, really do some due diligence and determine whether or not you want to promote yourself with your name if you feel that you are very well known as an Oprah Winfrey, or if you want to use your company's name, like a PepsiCo, and I see there's a typo there, so we need to fix that. If you have a brand awareness and people know who PepsiCo is, then you can use the company name. If it's an idea that you want to promote, it could be a book that you intend to write. It could be a concept. I love this car, so this is a concept car. It's the Mercedes AMG GT. So it's sleek, it's sexy, it's sensuous, it's got a 4-door hybrid powertrain, right? So all of that sounds really inviting. And what I would say is that most small business owners, and I say small, not by the number of years you've been in business, not by the number of employees or 1099 contractors you have, but small is really defined by the revenue. And the government defines small businesses by the multi-millions of dollars that you have. So most small businesses, you want to promote your company's products or services. So here at Impact, we promote the marketing, the communications, the public relations services that we have. If you're an accountant, you would promote the CPA services. If you are a tea company, you would promote your teas, or you would promote your cell phones. The key here is to really think about and to assess what it is that you are promoting and be clear. So lots of times people say, oh, I want to promote myself. But if people don't know you and you don't have any brand awareness, it's not really a good time to get started in trying to promote yourself. And I see we have a question here. Yes, the question is, will you send out a handout of the materials? And yes, you will get a copy of these slides from the Small Business Development Center. So after you have done an assessment and determined that it's your product and services that you want to promote, the next step is to set clear objectives. So this particular diagram is circular by intention. And the idea is that you want to first set some goals. What is it that you are trying to achieve? And remember, this is not your business planning. This is your marketing planning. And so your marketing planning support always needs to buttress up against your business goals and objectives. And if you haven't yet determined or created your business goals, the center, the Rutgers-Newark SBDC, has a fabulous program on helping you determine your business goals. I took it several years ago. I update our business goals and objectives annually. It's not a one-time activity. It's something that you want to continue to reassess, evaluate, and then when you are determining whether or not you're going to implement a specific course of action, if it doesn't align with your goals, then it's an easy no. So that's true for your marketing goals. Once you set your goals, if you're trying to determine what you should do next, if it doesn't line up with what's in your primary goals, the answer is no. And sometimes no is the most difficult answer to get to. So after you set your goals, you then want to identify tasks, or specifically what I mean is what programs are you going to need to achieve those goals? So we're going to talk about different programs. Some programs might be social media tools. It might be keyword algorithms. It might be Google Analytics. So if a goal is to increase hits on a website, then a task might be to create activities or messaging that will drive people to the website. Then you have to allocate the resources, right? So what are the resources that you're going to need to get people to come to your website? So you might need to make sure you have a Twitter account. You might need to make sure that you have a budget if you want to send out product samples, right? So what are the resources? And when you think about resources, don't think of resources just in terms of things that cost money. Resources also are people and time and programs. So we'll talk a little bit about that later on in this session. But I just want to throw that out there right now. And then the other thing that everyone always has to do is evaluate the success and or failure of what you've done. And the reason you need to do that is because you're then going to go back and set your goals. So you might have to modify or tweak a specific goal and or task and or resource allocation based on whether or not you were able to achieve your original objective. So it's super important that you make sure that you follow this. So remember, we started with assessment, then we had to set some clear objectives. And so it's super important that you do this in a strategic approach, and you want to plan. So once you've got your objectives set, the next thing is to make sure that you develop achievable strategies. And what I mean by achievable is I believe in small bites. So I have a background in the news business, and I don't know if anybody here is old enough to remember the Channel 9 News. And so what we used to do, I worked on the 10 o'clock news program, and I loved being a producer and a writer and assignment desk editor at UPN 9 News, because we started at 10, we finished at 11, either you did it or you didn't. You could not ever miss a segment because then there would just be dust on the air. And so it's a good habit to get into, to make sure that you have achievable strategies, because it's also fun to check something off. It's also encouraging to be able to strike through that you've accomplished something. So you want to look at what is working now and what's not working. You want to do your research. Look at what others in your industry are doing, and also look at folks outside of your industry if you find them appealing to you. If you find tactics and approaches that are being used by larger organizations or different companies, and you find yourself clicking on stuff online, you find yourself looking at certain IG, Instagram posts, or you find yourself really doing a lot of research on YouTube, then maybe if you are your person you're looking to connect with, you want to incorporate some of those tasks into your strategies as well. So look at what's working and what's not working, identify new approaches or methods, and then once you have done that, figure out why it hasn't worked, or what has worked and why it's worked. So it's not just identifying the what, but it's also the why. And what I'm also going to suggest everybody spend some time focusing on is understanding your why. Simon Sinek, S-I-M-O-N-S-I-N-E-C-K, I think, if somebody can type that in the chat box for me. Simon Sinek, and just check his spelling of his last name. But Simon has a great, fabulous resource for all business owners, and it's called Why. And it's a book, you can go on YouTube and you can see an excerpt. He's done a TED Talk on it. And it really is critical that every business owner understands their why. And once you understand your why, you'll be able to differentiate yourself from your competitors. And Simon gives a perfect example. He talks about computers. And you've got Apple and their computers, and then you've got IBM or Hewlett Packard or other folks in their computers. And so if you talk to Apple about why they do what they do, it's about an emotional connection. It's not the fact, the what, that they produce electronic equipment. It's not how, that it's all manufactured overseas. It's why, and it's because they want to have an emotional connection with their end buyers and end users. And similarly, when I worked with Nike and on the Jordan brand, it was the why. People, we were connected with Michael Jordan. He's the best, and you want to be the best. It's not the fact that we sold, I call them shoes because they cost so much money. But it's not simply the fact that we sold sneakers or footwear or we had apparel. It wasn't just the hookup from your outfit to your shoes. It was the why, because we knew that Michael Jordan was the best baller during his time. And now LeBron kind of has that title these days. But you want to make sure that you understand your why. and spend some time seriously focusing on your why, and that will help you with your marketing strategy. So I'm going to take some questions now, and I see there's a few here in the Q&A box. This again is the information as to how you can sign up for the full day session. And so so we have a question from Nicole, and she says, I own a concierge service that offers a wide variety of services, so it's difficult to focus on one. How do I market my company as a whole, or do I focus on a specific service? Fabulous question, Nicole. So what I will say to you is, I'll use Impact as an example. We are a full service marketing communications company. That means we offer website design and development. That means we do public relations. That means that we do digital marketing, we do visual design, we do media relations, we do a whole host of things. However, when you want to market something, you want to market that specific product or service to that specific audience that you're trying to connect with. And the reason I say that is because it's a lot easier to, it's a lot more difficult to narrow your message, but it's a lot easier to close a particular sale or to close a specific deal when you have a specific product or service that you are communicating with. We have what's called the Impact Pitch Pack, for example. And that pitch pack is designed to help companies create, we actually create pitch programs for specific companies. We don't address all of the things that we do. We don't talk about the video production. We don't talk about the website design and development. We talk specifically about helping companies perfect their pitches. And so I would strongly suggest that if you've got, you know, a concierge host, you might have some broad messages about the whole concierge product offerings. However, when we go through this program, you'll see where I will suggest that you specifically focus on one product or service. Then again, I was mentioning that you connect with or follow up and read Simon's book about the why. And if you are interested in spending several hours with me online, please be sure to just click on the link that's in the chat box, the bit.ly link. It'll send you directly to the small business, the Rutgers-Newark Small Business Center's webpage where you can sign up for the program. All right, so once you have done those 3 steps that we've talked about and you have figured out what it is you're looking to promote, right? So you've done your assessment, and then you have also gone through and set some clear objectives, and you've got achievable strategies. Where does it all go? So what I'm going to talk about now is the processes that it takes in order to have an effective online marketing campaign. And that little meme, that's your marketing mama. So you can check out your marketing mama on Facebook and on Twitter and on YouTube. And she's my meme that has the hairstyle that I want and just looks awfully fabulous. So step 1 is program planning, right? So you want to prioritize, and then you also want to align what you're looking to accomplish. What do I mean by that? So you're going to have a marketing strategy, and you can have a marketing strategy whose goal is to acquire new contacts, whose goal is to acquire email addresses, whose goal is to capture information. You can also have a marketing strategy whose goal is to engage. You can have a strategy whose goal is to engage people online. We have a program here that we are finding is not super engaging, so we're looking at ways to fix it. It's called our Trivia Tuesday. It's something that we do on Tuesday. We ask some questions, and the purpose of Trivia Tuesday is to engage. You can then also have a marketing strategy whose overall objective is to retain existing customers. So why is it important that you break these 3 out? Because you will have different programs and different messages that will go out to different audiences based off of the primary objective of your marketing strategy. And then you have to decide which one is most important. So there arbitrarily aligned by acquisition, engagement, and retention. You can say that engagement is more important for you. I think, however, that if you follow this 3-step here, step 1 will be to acquire information, acquire contacts, then you want to engage them, then you want to keep them. So that's why they're in this order. However, the order is up to you as the business owner or the marketing person for the company that you work with to identify the objectives and then also identify the tactic. Lots of times people start with tactics and they'll say, oh, we need to go on Facebook. We need to post on Facebook. That's a tactic. Why are you posting on Facebook? If you are looking to engage with an older female or a middle-aged female and you want to engage with her online, then you might want to go onto Facebook. If you're looking to engage with a more millennial group, then Instagram might be the channel, and the posting on Instagram is the tactic that you would use to connect with that particular audience. So it's extremely important that you break up your marketing objectives, and then once you have an objective, you would then identify the tactic that you're going to use as you prioritize and align. The next thing that you're going to want to do is create a timeline. So I'm going to show this timeline in a variety of ways to look at it. I picked this up, and this is very similar to what is called an editorial calendar. And so your timeline, you can break it out by months, and you can decide what programs you're going to want to run. So you can have a new product launch, or you can have a particular service that you want to announce, and you might say that you're going to really have that program run through the first 7 months of the year. And so it's going to be from January through July. And you're going to keep that product launch as one of your main objectives. Then you might decide that you're going to have a different kind of a program that's going to start mid-February. So maybe you decide this is with the same product, but maybe you decide that you're going to have another program initiative that's going to start around Valentine's Day and then end at the same time that the promotion or the program initiative for this particular product ends. You might decide that you want to start a third program initiative in the middle of March. So this will depend on the bandwidth that you have and how much you'll be able to do. However, it's giving you an idea that, say we decide, let's see, who do we have? The concierge services. So why don't you give me some idea, Nicole, as to what are the different types of services that you offer. So if you could share that, that would be awesome. And so we can then use a real person's example. So I'll wait for Nicole to share that information. And what I'm getting at is, if you've got a suite of services, you might want to promote everything that you have from January to July, just sort of a broad campaign. And then you can decide that you're going to focus on your public relations services, and that's going to start in mid-February. Then you can decide that you're going to start promoting your website design and development services, and that's going to start in mid-March. So that by the end of July, you have an overarching umbrella program initiative, and then you also have 2 of your sub-services that are being shared there as well. So product launches, so that's one type of a program. You can then have events. And so this is an event, this is a webinar, and you can decide if you want to have an event every month. You can decide if you want to have an event once a quarter. And right now, I used to say your events could be either in person or online. And while that still might be true down the road, I would say what you want to do now is determine whether you want to have a webinar event. Do you want to have a Facebook Live event? Do you want to have a Twitter Live event? Do you want to engage folks via YouTube? So those are the types of events that you want to start to think about. You also need to spend some time understanding who your buyer segments are, or who your audience or personas are. And I will share with you, we have here at Impact, different personas. We have Marketing Malia, we have Simple Sally and her husband Sherman. We have taken our buyer segments or our audience personas. People call them target audiences. I don't like the word target, it's just a personal preference, so we call them personas. And what we've done is we've broken them up to better understand who are the people that purchase our products and services. So they range from a simple Sally and her husband Sherman, and they are the ones who keep it really sweet and simple. And they also don't rely on a marketing company to provide them with a lot of support. They believe that their children can do all of their online marketing. So we would communicate with them, maybe with just a strategy, and then they'd go and work on implementing it themselves. We then have Marketing Malia, who's a bit more intentional and a bit savvier. And so she's really looking for not just strategy, but she's looking for results and analytics, and she's looking for evaluations. And so that is a more kinesthetic or emotional bond that we have with her. However, those types of customers are usually more loyal. So what you see here is you can have a buyer segment that you're going to target all 7 months, and you can have a few. And then, so this would, if you look at the way this slide is designed, you've got the high level program initiative running from January through July. We then also have this audience persona from January to July. So you want to make sure that whomever it is you're looking to connect with, that you also have that aligned with the messaging or the product that you are, or service that you are promoting during that same time frame. The other opportunity that you see here on this slide is something that you can have on an ongoing basis. And it could be an email campaign. We use Keep as our customer relation management tool, or CRM. Some of you may have heard that terminology. It's a little bit more sophisticated and requires more logic up front. You might be familiar with CRM tools like MailChimp, Constant Contact. I strongly suggest that if you intend to use email as a marketing tactic or approach, that you invest in a CRM, only because you don't want to have your personal email be blacklisted by different sites or email providers because they think that you don't have permission to email folks. You can have display advertising, and those are, if you go online and sometimes you do a Google search, right? We know Google is the #1 search engine, and then right behind it is YouTube. So you can have a display ad. Keep in mind that when you Google something, and yes, I'm using it as a verb, but when you Google something, usually the top 3 or 4 items that show up under that search are ads. And you have to wait till you get past, and now it says the word ad. It used not to say the word ad, so you were confused. But if you get past the ads, then you'll see the regular listing. But those display ads, they work. You can use what's called pay-per-click advertising, and that is where you go on and you define an audience, you define who you're looking to connect with, and then you pay every time somebody clicks on that ad. So piece of advice, don't test your own PPCs, because then you'll be paying, or you'll be paying for yourself. So that's one route to go. The other is SEO, which is search engine optimization. And so it's super important that whatever you do is optimized for search engines. There are lots of tools that can help you determine what SEO is best for your organization. I just strongly suggest that you invest in the time in learning SEO. If you have a website and you're looking to blog, there's lots of plugins. I recommend Yoast, Y-O-A-S-T. If somebody can type that into the chat, that'd be awesome. And so Yoast is a tool that we use to ensure that what we are posting is optimized for search engines. And then the last one that you see here is social. And that is usually what everybody goes to. You have to decide, however, which social platform you're going to be on and which social platform you're really going to invest the time in to remain engaged. And what I mean by that is, if somebody is looking to connect with you and you have a Twitter account, but you don't tweet, if they go to Twitter and find that you have not said anything, then they're going to think it's a dead lead or a dead end, and then you've lost that potential prospect. If you are going to be on Facebook, then you want to make sure that you're active on that platform. And then, just from my own personal experience, we're reevaluating our use of social, and you don't want to over communicate, because at the end of the day, it's engagement that matters. So you create your timeline. I showed you this timeline that we just looked at that was done by months, and so that's the first 7 months of the year. This is simply another way to organize your timeline. Here it's done by by quarter, excuse me. So again, we've got our objectives, which are acquisition, engagement, and retention. And then you can decide if you're going to just do something on a quarterly basis. The point of these two slides is to ensure or to reinforce the need to plan. And it might be easier to do it by quarter, or it might be easier for you to organize yourself by month. Either way, you want to organize, and you want to make sure you organize correctly and efficiently. And you don't want to have to continually go back and change stuff, but you want to be in a forward-moving direction. Here's another way to look at your roadmap. So we talked about making sure that you knew your goals and objectives, and then you had your strategies, and then you've got your programs, and then you've got your tactics. So you'll notice that we've got the acquisition, the engagement, retention. It could be a product announcement. And then another one that we just throw on here is loyalty. And loyalty is something that a lot of retailers use, and you get your loyalty rewards programs. And so you might want to do something that rewards or acknowledges your customers for their engagement. One of the things that we do here at Impact is we have a quarterly newsletter, and I always make sure we have a client section. And so we reward our clients by including some of the work that we have been engaged with for them in our newsletter. And it gives them a highlight. It gives them awareness that they might not receive elsewhere. And we distribute our newsletter through our CRM tool, which is Keep. I had mentioned that before, K-E-A-P. So I see there's a question here about what is a CRM system that's user-friendly. I'm going to say to you that user-friendly is relative. I have a phrase here at Impact, and it's called user error. And so most often than not, if a program isn't working, it's usually not the program, it's the user, it's us, or it's me. So I would say the user friendliness is really dependent upon your desire or your tolerance for technology. And you've got MailChimp, which is on one of the more simpler sides. It doesn't have a lot of functionality. However, it is great at sending your messages out. I know Dell, for example, they use MailChimp. So that's a huge company. And I found out this morning, as a matter of fact, on a conversation that I was having with one of their system analysts, is that they use MailChimp. So you can use a MailChimp. That's pretty simple. Constant Contact is also extremely user-friendly CRM. And then if you are of the analytical mind and you like logic, and logic was one of my favorite classes in college, I will say, and I've recommended that my daughter study logic. So if you like logic and you like a lot of if-then statements, so if this happens, then this happens. If this doesn't happen, then this happens. Then you would look to a more sophisticated customer relationship management tool, and that's something like a HubSpot, or HubSpot is at the more expensive range, or Keep, as I said, something that we use. So once you've gone through step 1 and step 2, the next step is to actually do something, right? So we've done all this planning, we've done all this calendarizing, if that's a word. We've mapped everything out. Now you want to launch it. And so if you have decided that you're going to use email, you probably want to have no more than 3 email touch points per particular program. And the reason I say that, that's just a personal preference. I would suggest, however, that you ask yourself, how many times do you want somebody to send you a promotional or a sales email about the same thing before you say, oh my God, this is harassment, this is spam? So I say 3 times. I also, when I'm calling up for customer service, if I have to hit a button more than 3 times, I'm really pissed by the time I get to the technician or the technical support rep. So we call those drip scripts, D-R-I-P, S-C-R-I-P-T-S, drip scripts. And so you want to have a plan, right? So you have email 1, hey, did you hear about the Impact Pitch Pack? And then if they don't open that email, the second email would say, maybe you didn't see my first email. You know, the Impact Pitch Pack is a great tool. And then if they don't open that email, then the third would say, okay, I've reached out to you twice before. This is the last email. Just wanted to give you one more opportunity to see if you're interested in the Impact Pitch Pack. So that's an example of how a drip script would go, because by the fifth time, the person is probably going to say, you're spamming me. If content is a tactic that you're going to use to launch your program, you can have a blog post. Again, we talked about making sure that your blog post is optimized for search engines. You've got your keywords, you've got your messaging. We have here at Impact a monthly email campaign that we use to send out to our customers. And if anybody here on the webinar is interested in being added to our email list, just type your email and we'll add you there as well. If your content is your product or your service release, just make sure that you know what it is you're looking to do. If events is the approach that you intend to take, schedule it, calendar it. Again, most events are going to be online, at least for the next, I don't even want to venture to guess. However, if that is the approach, just schedule it. And then if customer acquisition is the objective or the tactic that you're looking to work on, you might have a pay-per-click campaign. You might have a social media campaign. I have direct mail here because direct mail still works. A lot of people, you know, think that everything is going to be online, but if you get a 7x9 postcard in your mailbox and it encourages you to have a call to action or do something, that gets people's attention as well. And everything really needs to be optimized. So if you have any questions, I'll just remind you to please use the Q&A section here and ask any questions that you might have. And so I see, Nicole, I've gotten your answer. So now, again, if you are personal assistants, elderly care, house cleaning, grocery shopping errands, dog walking, oh my God, I need you. So Nicole, what I would suggest you do, these are very different service offerings and they cater to a very different audience. And so with house cleaning, if there is something that you can provide customers in light of COVID, people don't want people coming in their homes, they don't want people getting them sick. How can you ensure that your workers are healthy? Does everybody take a test? You know, do you say our people have been tested for COVID-19 and so I can assure you that they're healthy? We will come in and provide your house with cleaning that is needed, and we'll make sure that all hard surfaces are disinfected and soft surfaces get sprayed. And that's a very different message than somebody for dog walking. While it might have some similarities, the audience for dog walking, now that most folks are still home, is this an audience that doesn't need to have their dogs walked because they're at home? Or is this an audience that is more elderly and they need their dogs walked because they're afraid they're going to put themselves at risk if they come outside, or maybe they're physically not able to walk their dogs? So this is two very different service offerings for different groups of people. So that's why it's really important that you differentiate the product or service, because it's going to go to a different group. And then you also want to make sure that you are messaging them correctly. I'm going to ask someone from my team. I see everybody is sharing their email addresses. Can someone just please make sure that you copy them and we are able to add them to the database. Okay, so I'll come back to some more questions in a bit. And so we all do this, or at least I do this, right, to make some money. So at the end of the day, it's very important that you make sure that your marketing is really working for you. And if it's not working for you and you're not making any money, then you really need to call your marketing mom and we need to figure out what's going on there. So how do you determine if it's working? It's kind of simple. You look at your revenue. So you want to put yourself in the shoes of your customer And remember that the customer journey is different from that of the seller's journey. So when you are the business owner or the marketing person, you're the seller. And I guess I would equate this to if you are looking to, what's a good example? If you're looking to buy a car, right? And you want to get the best car for the cheapest amount that makes you look the flyest, that saves the most on gas, so you don't want to have to spend a lot of money. The salesperson, right, if they get paid on commission, they want to sell you the car that costs the most. They don't care what it looks like. They don't care whether or not you're fly or not. They just want to have you spend the most money. So you want to put yourself in the customer's shoes when you are looking at your journey. And what's that customer journey? So the customer journey is, it starts off with awareness. Are they aware of what you're doing? How do you measure awareness? You can measure it by the number of impressions that come to your website. You can measure it by the number of impressions that your social media receives. You can measure by the number of impressions that your email campaigns have. So awareness is step one. Then the customer, they're aware and they go, I think I'm interested in the impact pitch pack. Then they're a potential customer. So they're willing to give you your name, right? They're willing to say, okay, Cheryl, call me. Then program engagement. So if you have a landing page that is set up where people would let you know what their needs are, et cetera, then it's not just the number of website visits to your general page, but the website visits to a specific page. So we have a client where we are looking to increase the number of website visits to their RFP page. And so we need to make people aware of it. We need to identify the people that might be interested. And then we need to see how many folks actually go to that page. So then once you get past awareness, potential customers, and they are engaged, right? If they buy from you, then they're a new customer. And so that is how you get your total revenue. Now, you need to further analyze the effectiveness of your digital marketing campaign by whether or not they come back and buy from you again. Do they renew the contract? Is it a one-year contract with an automatic renewal for year two? Is it a 2-year contract where you don't increase the price and so you hold it steady? So that's a repeat customer. So you then want to take the number of new customers and the number of repeat customers, and that'll give you your total revenue. And you want to look at the average revenue per customer. How much are they worth? And there's a whole course in class on understanding the value of a particular client. And you have to take into that how much time do you have to invest, because not every client or customer is a keeper. And if some customers you wind up spending more time servicing them than you're getting in return for revenue, you might want to reconsider whether or not it's worth keeping that customer on board. And so then you've got, they're aware, they're a potential customer, they become engaged in your program, they then become a new customer, and then they buy from you again. So they move out of repeat customers to loyalty. And so how many folks do you have in your loyalty program? And then the real tail of the customer journey is whether or not they refer you to someone else. Are they an advocate for you? So you want to make sure your customer journey follows that process, and then your marketing program is hugely successful. So you then want to, here's another way to look at the buyer's journey. And the key here, what you'll notice is you see very similar information on the left side and the right side. This is designed to help you look at the buyer's journey, which is on the left, and then look at the seller's journey, which is on the right. So take that example that I used about a car. I have a friend of mine, he always uses the example of buying a television. Either way, it's the same. So if you're looking to buy a television, Super Bowl might be coming up. And so your goal is to get a huge screen with great video so you can watch the game on Sunday, right? And so that's your goal. So now you need to maybe go to Best Buy to figure that out, right? So that's acquisition. From a television manufacturer's perspective, they want you to get any TV And yes, everybody might want to have it in time for Super Bowl Sunday. And so they might want you to come in Best Buy and come into Best Buy. So the reason I use that example is because you want the buyer's journey and the seller's journey to align. So if you as a buyer are not going to go to Best Buy, then then the seller, you're not going to want to do a partnership or promote with Best Buy. If you know that your target does a lot of research and that they might go to Consumer Reports online to do some evaluation, then you as a seller might want to make sure that your product is positively reviewed by Consumer Reports. So here you want to, whether it's awareness, acquisition, retention, loyalty, you want to make sure that the details of your campaign align with your buyer's journey as well. Again, I remind you, if you have any questions, throw them up in the Q&A section. We'll answer them. And so just feel that you can use that as we go along. So the details matter. And then you need to evaluate the effectiveness of what you put together. So here you'll see a chart that you can use to map out your programs. So remember, we had different types of programs. We had events, we had ongoing campaigns, we had product launches, right? So you want to label the program. That's what this first box is. You know, you put the name of it. And so instead of program 1 through 6, you would actually write the name of the program. And then how much did it cost you? Cost is not just the exact dollar that you spend. Cost also has to include how much you cost as the business owner. Every business owner costs something. So although you might not be paying yourself what you believe you're worth, let's also be reasonable about our worth. However, you want to see how many hours have I spent working on this program? What is my hourly cost? And then you add that to the actual cash expenditures that you have put out. So that's the cost. How many new customers did it get you? How many customers renewed with you? And how much did they pay you? So you want to do this, and the reason for it is so that you can answer these two questions, these two very critical questions. What are the top performing programs that you should do again? And what programs didn't work that you should not bother to do again? And so it's extremely important that we analyze our efforts so that we know what we're doing is impactful or is not being impactful. So I strongly encourage everybody to evaluate your efforts, track your progress, make sure that you plan, make sure that you spend time. If I go back to the very beginning, right? So make sure that it's extremely important that you determine what it is you are promoting or marketing. Again, it's probably going to be your company's products or services. You want to make sure that you identify your objectives and that you have a marketing strategy. And remember, these are marketing strategies that then result in tactics. And so these marketing strategies and tactics are things that need to align with your business goals and objectives. So you want to make sure you have your business goals and objectives first. And once you have your business goals and objectives, you then have the ability to go on and align your communication strategy with your business goals and objectives. And like I mentioned, Rutgers-Newark, the Small Business Development Center, fabulous consultants on board, and they have all kinds of programs to help you get your business plan done. So I don't see any new questions. Again, I will remind you that if you are interested in the full session where we'll go into detail with all of the things that I'm touching on here, you can just, it's $50. One thing to point out is that these programs you're paying for. So the Small Business Development Center for the state of New Jersey is funded by our taxes. And so because of funds that have been provided through the CARES Act and all of these other programs, the SBDC has been able to offer a huge variety of courses. And at the top of the session, Priscilla mentioned that there are added programs available through the through the CARES Act. And if you are interested in signing up for a session with me. This is also subsidized. So if you are in Essex County, you would come to the Rutgers-Newark program and you can request a counseling session. It costs you nothing because it's paid for by the SBDC. So you would just email Priscilla or the email that you got to sign up for this particular webinar, sign up for counseling. We're here to help you all. We're here to help each other. We're here to make a difference. So again, sign up for the session if you are interested. So that is really the crux of the materials that I have. I like to leave a lot of time for Q&A. So I'm going to put my glasses on and I'm going to see if we have any other questions that I have not answered. So if anybody has a question, please post it in the Q&A section. I'm also going to look at the chat. So Deb, you got on late. I don't know if they're sending out a recording. I would say that I know they're definitely sending out the deck that we have shared here. And so, okay, we've got some questions here. All right, so I'm gonna scroll to the top and let's see here. So there, I see my team has posted the long link. You can also use that bit.ly July 17. That'll take you directly to the link as well to register for the class. Oh, I'm so glad this is helpful. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So if you are, let's see, so I'm relaunching service offering strategic planning, small business owner, excuse me, 1 hour meet and greet, then 1 hour time to take the top problem they have. So I would say if you are relaunching your particular program and you offer strategic planning, you want to figure out strategic planning for whom? For business strategic planning. If you could give me a little bit more clarity, that'd be awesome. So that I'm reaching out to Denise. So if you are looking to do strategic planning, what's your area of expertise? So you want to then, this is an example where you also want to promote your own skill set. So if you have had previous strategic planning experience from the corporate space or from something else, if you've got some testimonials or stories that you can share, that would be something that you would want to go ahead and post. So I see operations, new markets, retooling. So if you have background in operations, then you want to reach out to small business owners that need to have their back ends taken care of. Or, and when I say, oh, that sounded funny, you'd have their back office operations taken care of. And so if you're gonna help people retool their business, you want to start to share stories about some of the successes that you have had. What makes you an expert in that particular space? So it's extremely important that you take it off in small chunks. And so there's a difference in somebody's back office operations and then identifying new market opportunities. So back office operations requires a connection with an audience where they don't have enough time on their hands, or they need help in staying afloat with all of the work that they have. If somebody's looking to retool their business, that's probably the opposite end, where they are not finding success where they are. So your messaging is going to be different for both of those audiences. So it's extremely important that as you go about identifying the different programs that we reviewed and that we talked to, and I'll go back to that slide, that you have the program, have the audience that you're looking to connect with, clearly identifying who it is you want to connect with, what it is you want to say, and then you have to figure out what channel it is that they want to, that they're on. And that's when I say put yourself in the buyer's seat. If you are that person and that individual is going to be Googling, you know, what's the best marketing company in New Jersey? Oh, that's a good one. So my team, you're listening, right? So you want to make sure that you write a blog or you have a post that uses those whole keyword phrases. So I'll back up a little bit. It used to be when you were optimizing for search engines that you would use one word, and computers or automated systems would just have a blog with just that one word in it. Google changed their search engine crawlers or their spiders, and they disallow that. So they want to make sure now that it's actual content. But you want to type into your content the phrase that people would be typing into the Google search engine to find your business. And so if you are going to retool someone's business, you need to make sure that you have in your blog or in your social posts, we retool businesses, you know, looking for the best business retooler, so that when somebody types that specific keyword phrase, so it's a mnemonic word search now. And so it's not just a word, but it's an actual thought. It's an actual phrase. And so you want to make sure that you include all of that in what it is that you are looking to, excuse me, to promote. Okay, so here's a question. How should I go about using Instagram for marketing and attracting customers? Any advice? Well, I'm your marketing mama, so I always have an opinion, so I always have advice. I would say if you want to use IG, you need to be cognizant of who your audience is. And there are two very different audiences on Instagram. So my daughter would have you believe that only young people are on Instagram. I will tell you that the two audiences that are on Instagram are young people and then their parents, because the parents are on Instagram trying to make sure they know what the kids are doing. So if you want to use Instagram to market or attract customers, I would say that you need to figure out how to create a good story. You know how Instagram has the stories. You want your stories to be short. You want them to be eye-catching. You might want to have a GIF, you know, that kind of catches people's eyes as they scroll through. And then if there is a link, you put the link in your profile. And so it's important that you know who's on Instagram and what it is you're trying to say. So I would need to know what kind of business. This message is to Dima. So Dima, what type of industry are you in? And that would help me be able to better address your Instagram question. And so again, as a reminder, if anybody has any questions or thoughts that you want to share or that you need to get addressed, then just either put them here in the chat to the panelists or put them into the Q&A section. So what I am going to do is I want to back up the presentation to this slide. So I believe that this is probably one of the most important slides of the whole program. And let me clear my screen here a little bit. Put you over there. And so this is the objective slide. So it is extremely important that once you have identified what it is you're looking to promote, that you set clear objectives. You set goals, you identify tasks, you allocate resources, you evaluate what's working and what's not working, so that you could figure out whether or not what you're doing is making a difference. Because if it's not making a difference, you want to stop. You want to track the amount of effort that you're putting into something. And if it's too much effort and not enough return, you want to stop. If something is working, you want to do it more or do it better. So it's very important that you follow this cycle of activity. And this is true for your digital marketing campaigns as well as your digital communication campaigns. What's the difference? Marketing is designed to promote a product or a service. Communication is usually designed to inform. So I've got a question here. What is going to be discussed on July 17th? Okay, so on July 17th, this is a quick recap. As you see, very high level information with regard to what it takes to put together an effective marketing digital online campaign. On the 17th, we go much more in depth. It's interactive. It will be a meeting wherein you'll be able to ask questions, where you'll be able to work on your own marketing plan. And so the idea is that by the time you finish with the session on the 17th, you have started and you have put a structure together to be able to implement a marketing campaign for your own company. So you'll be able to We'll do some keyword search identification. We'll do some draft template planning. We'll also spend some time refining your why so that you can be sure to understand what it is, what it's going to take to get people to be involved and be engaged. Okay, so I see here we've got a response. I'm selling gift boxes that are customized for each person. So if you are looking to use Instagram as a vehicle for selling your gift boxes, I'm going to take you back to your why, right? Why did you decide to sell gift boxes? Is it something very personal to you that you found made you feel good? Is it something that you like to see people open and receive? What's your why? And why should people get a gift box from you? Does it have a personal touch to it? Does it have a unique approach towards the packaging of the gift box? And if you don't mind sharing, you know, Instagram is all about visuals and it's an instant, right? So it's not something that's going to be lengthy or long. So it's Instagram, so it's an instant message. So you want to have a picture, you know, maybe you have a story, maybe you have a client that is willing to share. So if you remember, we talked about your buyer journey. Let me pull that up. You want to make sure that the buyers become advocates. So if you use IG and you've got that audience and you already identified them, if you can have one of your customers travel through this journey and become an advocate and have them post on Instagram for your product or service or your gift box in particular, maybe, you know, you get a video of somebody opening the gift box and that's what you share on your story. And then you have a link in your profile to a specific landing page that you've identified, so you can see whether or not Instagram is working. Maybe you want to do a comparison between Facebook and Instagram to see which one brings you more participants or more customers or more inquiries, right? So you want to do what sort of A/B testing. So that's what I would suggest. I hope that helps. Let me know if that answered your question. And let's see, we have another question with regard to childcare. So with regard to childcare marketing, when you say, do you have childcare services? Is that what you're looking to market? Are you trying to connect with essential workers who need assistance in having someone watch their children? You know, parents, good parents, are very protective with their children. And so you're going to have to make sure that loyalty or trustworthiness is probably something that I would say is important when you are looking to market childcare services. You have to be trustworthy. I know I have a friend who is involved in the childcare industry, and they're working now with children for essential workers. And the concern is whether or not the children are exposed to COVID-19 because their parents are. And so, you know, kids always have their fingers in their mouth, their toes in their mouth, or their toes in somebody else's mouths, or things of that nature. So when you're marketing your services, how are you addressing the need to really ensure that everything is constantly washed and disinfected, excuse me? How are you ensuring that if a child has his or her fingers in her mouth, that they then are cleaned? Is it something that you're doing on an hourly basis? Are you going to provide the parents or the parent or the guardian or the grandparent, whomever the caregiver is, are you going to provide them with a list of here's what happened during the day, here's the time that they went to the bathroom, here's the time that we made them wash their hands? You know, how are you going to differentiate yourself when you're marketing your child care service offerings to ensure that the potential customer feels comfortable around what you're doing? And I will use another example that I shared earlier. If you can get somebody to be an advocate for you and say that they really trust you and this is great, then that would also help you. Okay, so all right, I'm going to go back to some more questions. So Dima, I'm glad that was helpful. So yes, so that's awesome. So let's see, we've got Leon, and they offer organic pesticide. Considering starting a campaign, do you think it's best to use Google instead of Facebook or Instagram? Well, I would say to you, Leon, that really depends on who you are looking to connect with and what you're looking for them to do. And what I mean by that is, at the end of the day, whether it is the head of corporate marketing at Dell, or whether it is the small business owner who is us, they're all people. And so remember that what you really need to do is to develop your personas that we talked about. And we go into persona identification and creation on the 17th. So if you haven't done, so if you haven't, I closed that out. I'll share my screen again. So if you have not already created personas, I strongly suggest that you do that and you come to the class on the 17th, and of course we'll spend some time talking about personas. So now I close all my screens and now I can't find my chat box. So with regard to, here we go. So with regard to the pesticide, who makes the buying decision for the organic pesticide? Is your target the property manager at a development complex who decides what vendors they work with? Is it the homeowner that you are looking to connect with, Leon? And so if it's organic, you've already narrowed down that audience to someone who really cares about organic pesticides versus non-organic items, right? So that's, you narrow the audience, but now you need to look at developing your marketing personas and who are you looking to go after. And then I would suggest if for example, one of your primary audiences consists of, the decision makers for the, I'm going to stop this here for a second. If your primary audiences consists of the decision makers for the management offices, then you want to make sure that those are the folks that you connect with. And so then what I would say to you is look at the makeup of the property managers. Does the property managers, do they have a certain age range? Do they have a certain gender? You know, what is it about the property manager that makes a difference? Are you looking to promote the pesticide to homeowners? So if that's the case, you want to make sure that somebody, is it a pesticide for the lawn or is it something to get rid of ants? Because I got to tell you, we're having a terrible ant challenge where I live now. And so if it's going to deal with the ants, let me know, because I might be able to address it there. So I would say that you really want to make sure that you define your personas and that you figure out who buys what you sell. And it's super important that you identify the marketing persona, you figure out where they are, when they're online, what they're doing, what they're not doing, so that you can then become one of them and figure out what makes the most sense. So it is for ants? Okay, so give us your email address and I will recommend this to the property manager for the development where I live in, because the ants are killing us. And then I also might just use it myself. So wonderful. And so see how you just identified an audience? So if it's for a homeowner who has a specific problem, then you want to make sure that you have your marketing material say great ant repellent, and it's organic too. Because I would go online and I would type, you know, organic ant repellent and what comes up. So that's how you customize your messaging for the particular customer that you're looking to connect with. Okay, so we got another question. And what time is it? Let me see. Ooh, 4:17. I've been talking. So we only have a few minutes left. So if you have any other questions, please post them. So here we go. My ROI, return on investment with direct marketing, has been great, but it's because of the length and cost of services provided to one client. I'm not sure that qualifies as successful. I'll send out 1,500 mailings, but get 1 to 2 calls and possibly 1 new client. So here's what I would suggest to you. Let me do, hold on, answer done. So what you want to look at is this slide here, and you're going to get these slides. Nope, not that one. Wait, is it that one? Yes. So, no, not that one. Hold on. So you want to look here, right? So if you are sending out, how much is it costing? No, it is this one. How much is it costing you to run that program? Is 2 out of 1,500 a good number? It depends on how much your product costs. And so what is your return on investment overall? Is it worth it? So, and I'm going to make this up. So if you're sending out 1,500 pieces of direct mail, and let's just say for easy math calculation's sake, it costs you $1. So you spend $1,500. However, if the product that you sell costs $5,000 or $10,000 and you get 2 people, you now have made 20 grand off of a 1,500 investment. So I'd say that's pretty damn good, right? And it also depends on your market and your industry. So without all of those details, I can't really give you a definitive answer as to whether or not that's a good ROI. What I would suggest is, again, the SBDC, the Rutgers-Newark office, they have a great program on business plan development, and part of that business plan development program helps you look at ROI and you evaluate your industry. And oh, a tip, anybody here that has a library card, if you have a library card, you get access to a huge source of information. And the New Jersey, we have New Jersey librarians, and so they are awesome. They are at your service, and you want to talk about some good researchers, they're there. So I see Yolanda, yes, so we're giving ant tips. So let's not digress, but yes, borax and sugar, that then draws them to the room and then they die. So I got you, thank you. So if anybody else has any other questions regarding the information, again, if you are interested, just go to bit.ly/DNA July 17. Here, I'll put that in the chat. So just make sure that you register bit.ly/DNA July 17. So it's discounted, paid for by us, for us, subsidized because of additional funding that has been made available. You get, if you are interested in having a one-on-one counseling session with me, again, it doesn't cost you anything. You just have to go into the SBDC, send them an email, tell them you want to connect with Cheryl McCants. If somebody from my team, if you're interested, you have to contact the SBDC directly. However, you can follow us on Facebook, you can follow us on Twitter, you can follow us on LinkedIn, and we regularly post tips and strategies for small businesses. So if you aren't sure what to say or what to do, or you're looking for some advice from your marketing mama, I'll have somebody from my team, they'll post our website. It's eimpactconsulting.com. The company is Impact Consulting Enterprises. The website is Impact Consulting. Thank you, Morgan, for posting that. Capri, if you could post our Facebook channels, and our Twitter is @ICE Branding, ICE Branding, all one word. So you can follow us online, and we dedicate a significant portion of what we do to small businesses and to help small businesses. So I'm hoping, go answer the phone, please. Phones are ringing. So So my name again is Cheryl McCants. I appreciate all of you. I really do hope that this has been helpful. And so follow your marketing mama. We're on YouTube. Would you go answer the phone? Sorry, my daughter's here with me today. I would never talk to an employee like that, just FYI. So if you are interested, follow us online. Remember, contact Priscilla or anyone else at the SBDC to get a one-on-one consultation. I did see that someone was located out in Michigan. Every state has a small business development center, so you can reach out to the state for that. I actually, you know what? I do believe that the webinar, it doesn't matter where you are, so if you want to join us for the full day webinar on the 17th, feel free to do that. If you wanted a one-on-one counseling, that wouldn't cost you anything. You'd have to go through your local SBDC, and I don't know. So it's been awesome. When we do the July 17th, I'll be able to see you guys' faces and you'll be able to talk. Right now, all I see is myself and my presentation. So I really do hope this has been helpful. I just want to also applaud all of you for being business owners. It's not easy. It is, however, extremely rewarding. And we contribute to our local economy. And I just think that it's just super awesome that you are doing what, you have your own business. Here's the email address for Rutgers. It's Rutgers-Newark Small Business Development Center. So that's their email address. That's their website. Please, please, there are fabulous courses, and this is a great opportunity for any business owner to be able to gain insight. It doesn't cost anything, or it's only 50 bucks. Either way, it's really a bargain. So I will stay online for the next time. Oh, wow. The next 6 minutes. This went by fast. Oh, it's 4th of July. So I encourage you all to go to look on our channels, our social channels. If somebody can post the link to our 4th of July blog, I encourage everybody to reevaluate their independence this 4th of July. You've already declared yourself independent by being a small business owner. How can you now take that independence and use it to help others? So thank you, Morgan, for sharing that. I think it's a quick, easy read, and have a great 4th of July. Oh, I'm glad this has been helpful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right, so I don't see that there are, let me see, let me go to Q&A. No more questions. And this is your marketing mama, Cheryl McCants, signing off. Have a fabulous, fabulous day.